Good morning and welcome to the live reading session of Neetu's Academy. I'm Twinkle and I'll be your tutor for the day. So today we are going to just look at one passage from academic reading and we'll be just taking out two types of questions. That is your 𝐵𝐵𝐵 𝐶𝐵, that is true, false, not given, and also filling in the blanks. So we'll have a reading session which will be popping up on the screen right now. Alright, so I'm going to use a mix of English and Malayalam to explain this. I hope you're all comfortable with that. Today, ഞാനൊരു passage എടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത് I've taken it from academic academic book 16, and the title of the passage is Why We Need to Protect Polar Bears. That is the title of the passage. As you all know, as soon as you get your reading test, you first have to go through the title. You have to look at the title. It is important for us to understand what we are going to read about. And idile namkariyam, we are going to read about polar bears and why we need to protect them. Now, there are two methods that people teach to approach reading tests. One is that you can dive straight into the questions and come to find the answers. The other is that you have to give a quick read. Whichever method you are comfortable with, you can choose that. So my method is to go straight to the questions and come and find the answers so that we don't waste any time. Okay, so now നമ്മൾ നോക്കാൻ പോകുന്നത് true, false, not given. And from what I've heard, most of the students are scared of this type of question. ബിക്കോസ് ഇത് കിട്ടുന്നില്ല, മനസ്സിലാവുന്നില്ല എന്നൊക്കെയാണ് എല്ലാവരും പറയാറ്. സോ അത് കുറച്ച് സിമ്പിളാക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഐ ഹവ് ടേക്കൺ ആൻ ഈസി പാസേജ്. നോട്ട് ക്വൈറ്റ് ഈസി, ബട്ട് അത്ര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടില്ലാത്ത ഒരു പാസേജാണ് ഞാൻ എടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. സോ ലെറ്റ്സ് ഗെറ്റ് ടു ദ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ്. നൗ റീഡിങ് ചെയ്യുമ്പം ഫസ്റ്റ് തിങ് ഇസ് യു ഹാവ് ടു റീഡ് ദ ടൈറ്റിൽ. ദെൻ നെക്സ്റ്റ് തിങ് ഇസ് യു ഹാവ് ടു റീഡ് ദ ഇൻസ്ട്രക്ഷൻസ് ഗിവൺ ഫോർ യുവർ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ്. So that is very, very important. Sometimes ഇതിൽ ട്രൂ ഫാൾസ് നോട്ട് ഗിവണിന് പകരം ചിലപ്പം യെസ് നോ നോട്ട് ഗിവൺ ആയിരിക്കും. ആൻഡ് യെസ് നോ നോട്ട് ഗിവൺ ഇൻസ്റ്റെഡ് ഓഫ് ട്രൂ ഫാൾസ് നോട്ട് ഗിവൺ എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ തെറ്റിപ്പോവും. നമ്മൾക്ക് ട്രൂ ആണ് എഴുതാൻ പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നതെങ്കിൽ ട്രൂ തന്നെ എഴുതണം. യെസ് ആണ് എഴുതാൻ പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നതെങ്കിൽ യെസ് തന്നെ എഴുതണം. ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ യുവർ ആൻസർ വിൽ ബി മാർക്ക്ഡ് റോങ്. നൗ ലെറ്റ്സ് ഗെറ്റ് ഇൻ ടു ദിസ്. സോ ട്രൂ ഫാൾസ് നോട്ട് ഗിവൺ. First question in this passage is, polar bears suffer from various health problems due to the buildup of fat under their skin. Now, if you are doing it on pen and paper, you can underline the important points, or if you are doing it on computer based, you have the option to highlight the important points. Now, ഇവിടെ പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നത് polar bears, they suffer from various health problems because of fat. So, various health problems, polar bears, various health problems and buildup of fat. ഇത്രയാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് പോയിൻറ്റ്സ്. നൗ ഐ വുഡ് ആസ്ക് യു ടു ജസ്റ്റ് ഗോ ബാക്ക് ടു ദ ബിഗിനിങ് ഓഫ് ദ പാസേജ്. ആ ബിഗിനിങ്ങിൽ യു ജസ്റ്റ് ഗിവ് എ ക്വിക്ക് റീഡ് ആൻഡ് യു ഹാവ് ഹിയർ വൺ റീസൺ. യു ഹാവ് ദ ലൈൻ അബൌട്ട് ഫാറ്റ്. One reason for this is that they have up to 11 centimeters of fat under their skin. So we are talking about polar bears and they have 11 centimeters of fat under their skin. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ആ ഫാറ്റിൻ്റെ ബിൽഡപ്പ് ഓഫ് ഫാറ്റിനെ കുറിച്ച് പറയുന്നത് ഭാഗമായി. പിന്നെ we have humans with comparative levels of adipose tissue would be considered obese and would be likely to suffer from diabetes and heart disease. എന്നിട്ടൊരു ലൈനുണ്ട് which says, yet the polar bear experiences no such consequences. So what would be your answer? നമ്മളുടെ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ് പറയുന്നത് പോളാർ ബെയർസ് സഫർ ഫ്രം വേരിയസ് കോൺസിക്വൻസസ് എന്നാണ്, ഹെൽത്ത് പ്രോബ്ലംസ് എന്നാണ്. പക്ഷേ നമ്മുടെ പാസേജിൽ പറയുന്നു പോളാർ ബെയർ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസസ് നോ സച്ച് കോൺസിക്വൻസസ്. സോ യുവർ ആൻസർ വുഡ് ബി ഫാൾസ്. ഐ ഹോപ്പ് ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ക്ലിയർ. സോ നെക്സ്റ്റ് വൺ. നൗ വൺ തിങ് ഐ വോണ്ട് ടു മെൻഷൻ ഇസ് ദാറ്റ് ട്രൂ ഫാൾസ് നോട്ട് ഗിവണിൽ മിക്കവാറും എപ്പോഴും തന്നെ 99% ഓഫ് ദ ടൈം യുവർ ആൻസേഴ്സ് വിൽ കം വൺ ആഫ്റ്റർ ദി അതർ. സോ ഒരു ആൻസർ കിട്ടിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടേ അടുത്ത ആൻസർ വരുള്ളൂ. കീപ് ദാറ്റ് ഇൻ മൈൻഡ് വെൻ യു ഡു ദ റീഡിങ്. Next one. The study done by Liu and his colleagues compared different groups of polar bears. That is a statement given. Liuum colleaguesum ചെയ്ത studyയിൽ they compared different groups of polar bears. But again, in our second paragraph, we see that they are talking about Liu and his colleagues. And the second line is saying, they compared the genetic structure of polar bears with that of their closest relatives from a warmer climate, the brown bears. So did they compare different groups of polar bears? Alla. They compared polar bears with brown bears. So again, your answer will be marked wrong. So it is false. The next one. Third question, third statement. Liu and colleagues were the first researchers to compare polar bears and brown bears genetically. So, we already വായിച്ചു ലിയും colleagues polar bears and brown bears genetic structure compare ചെയ്തു വായിച്ചു. But here in this line, there is an extra word which says, Liu and colleagues were the first researchers to compare. നമ്മൾ അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും വായിച്ചോ? So you can see here that we have not read anything of that sort. We have not read അവരാണ് ഫസ്റ്റ് ആൾക്കാരെന്നോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ലാസ്റ്റ് ആൾക്കാരെന്നോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു കാര്യവും നമ്മൾ വായിച്ചിട്ടില്ല. That means your answer is not given. I hope everything is clear now. Now let's move on to the next one. So your fourth question or the fourth statement is, polar bears are able to control their levels of bad cholesterol by genetic means. So again, genetic means വഴി ആരാണ് കമ്പയർ ചെയ്ത് ലിയു ആൻഡ് colleagues. അവരുടെ ആ പാസേജിൽ തന്നെ we found the answer for the second question. Third one was not given. But again, start reading from there. Do not skip that passage paragraph. Just start reading from where you stopped. This allowed them to determine the genes that have allowed, and so on. And you see here, Liu and his colleagues found the polar bears had a gene known as APOB, which reduces levels of low density lipoproteins or LDLs, a form of bad cholesterol. So, is it the statement which we read in the questions? It's the same as that. Polar bears are able to control their levels of bad cholesterol by genetic means. ഇത് തന്നെയാണ് നമ്മൾ അവിടെ വായിച്ചത്. They have a gene which controls their bad cholesterol. So your answer is true. Alright, let's come back to the next one. Female polar bears are able to survive for about 6 months without food. Again, female polar bears are able to survive for about 6 months without food. Let's read the rest. നിങ്ങൾ ഈ വായിക്കുമ്പം you shouldn't leave out anything. Just skim through the text. And so you will come to the section which says, female polar bears, however, undergo extreme conditions during every pregnancy. Once autumn comes around, these females will dig maternity dens in the snow and will remain there throughout the winter, both before and after the birth of their cubs. This process results in about 6 months of fasting. 6 months of fasting, 6 months without food. Again, your answer is true. Let's move on to the next one. It was found that the bones of female polar bears were very weak when they came out of their dens in spring. So now you know, our female polar bears they went without food for 6 months. They are asking, our female polar bears bones were very weak. Spring തിരിച്ചിറങ്ങി വന്നപ്പോൾ എന്ന് പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. Now we read the rest and we come to the part which says, 6 months later, when they finally emerged from the den with their cubs, there was no evidence of significant loss of bone density. What does that mean? The question says, it was found that the bones of female polar bears were very weak. അങ്ങനെയാണോ അവിടെ പറഞ്ഞത്? പാസേജിൽ പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നത് when they came out, there was no evidence of significant loss of bone density. So your answer can be marked false. Your answer is false. Okay, so I hope till now everything is clear. Now we move on to the last question or last statement in true or false. True, false, not given. The polar bear's mechanism for increasing bone density could also be used by people one day. So it could എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അങ്ങനെ ആകാം എന്നുള്ള അർത്ഥമാണ്. So what do we read here? Again, in the paragraph we see, if the mechanism of bone remodeling in polar bears can be understood, many bedridden humans and even astronauts could potentially benefit. So benefit ചെയ്യാൻ, could potentially benefit ചെയ്യാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്. That means your answer should be marked true. So if you have any questions, just let me know. This is the way we go about true, false, not given. Now there is absolutely no need for you to read all the true, false, not given statements, because you won't be able to remember once you have read everything. ഒന്ന് വായിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞ് അഞ്ചാമത്തേൽ എത്തുമ്പോഴേക്കും യു വിൽ ഡെഫിനറ്റ്ലി ഫൊഗെറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്. സോ അത് അങ്ങനെ വായിക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. യു റീഡ് ദ ഫസ്റ്റ് വൺ, ഫൈൻഡ് ദ ആൻസർ ടു ദ ഫസ്റ്റ് വൺ, ദെൻ കം ആൻഡ് റീഡ് ദ സെക്കൻഡ് വൺ, ഫൈൻഡ് ദ ആൻസർ, go on to the third one, find the answer. Do it like that for true, false, not given. It's not the same for all types of questions. For true, false, not given, this is a method you can use to manage your time efficiently. Alright, so now let's move on to questions 8 to 13. As you know, you have around 13 to 14 questions in one passage. So in this, they have given only two types of questions. One is true, false, not given, and the other one is filling up the blanks. Complete the table below. So it is a table. Choose one word only. It is very, very important for you to read the instruction. So if you write ഒരു extra ഒരു word എഴുതിയിട്ട്, even if you add the correct answer to that, your answer will be marked wrong. So you should not do that. Write only one word. Now, reasons why polar bears should be protected. That is the statement given there. Until now നമ്മളൊന്നും വായിച്ചില്ല അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച്, എന്താണ് റീസൺസ് എന്നുള്ളത്. And you got your final answer for your true, false, not given in the middle of the passage. ഇതുവരെ വായിച്ചതിൽ we have not read any reasons. So now let's move on and read from there, from where we got the last answer. Now, medical benefits of the polar bear for humanity certainly have their importance. So this is what we read, reasons. But these should not be the only factors. All that you read, and then you know from where to read now to get your answers for question numbers 8 to 13. People think of bears as unintelligent and what? Unintelligent and something. Now let's go back, and we tend to want to protect animals we think are intelligent and possess emotions, such as elephants and primates. They have not talked about polar bears or bears till now. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ലൈനിൽ they are talking about bears. Bears, on the other hand, seem to be perceived as stupid and in many cases violent. So in the place of unintelligent, you have the word stupid here. ബേഴ്സിനെ എങ്ങനെയാണ് അവർ കാണുന്നത്? പെർസീവ്ഡ്. ഹൗ ആർ ബേഴ്സ് പെർസീവ്ഡ്? They are perceived as unintelligent. In place of that, they have given the word stupid and what? And in many cases, violent. What is the other characteristic that they have mentioned? It is violent. So, perceived as stupid or unintelligent, and you have to take the word from the passage, that is violent. I hope that is clear. Next one. Again, This is a continuation. However, this may not be correct. For example, now they are giving the example of 𝐂𝐻𝐺𝐸. In 𝐂𝐻𝐺𝐸, that is a keyword which can't be changed. ഇപ്പം unintelligent എന്നുള്ള വേർഡിനെ അവർ ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്ത് stupid എന്നായിരുന്നു പാസേജിൽ. So if you go look for unintelligent in the passage, you may not find the word. So that is not a keyword. Keywords എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എന്താണ്? Words which cannot be changed in the question as well as the passage. So in 𝐂𝐻𝐺𝐸 വേറൊരു പേരിൽ അറിയാൻ പറ്റില്ല, അവർക്ക് എഴുതാൻ പറ്റില്ല. So 𝐂𝐻𝐺𝐸 is a keyword. A bear has been seen using a branch as a dash. ബ്രാഞ്ചിനെ എന്തോ ആയിട്ട് ഉപയോഗിച്ചു. That എന്തോ എന്ത് സാധനമായിട്ടാണ് ഉപയോഗിച്ചത്. That is what we have to fill in. Okay. In 𝐂𝐻𝐺𝐸, a bear has been seen using a branch as a dash. This allowed, just read a little bit more. This allowed him to knock down some dash. So ഒരു ബ്രാഞ്ച് എന്തോ ആയിട്ട് ഉപയോഗിച്ചു and this allowed him to knock down something. ആ തിങ് എന്താണെന്നും എഴുതണം. Now let's go back to the passage. Now here you have this in 𝐂𝐻𝐺𝐸. A male bear called Gogo in 𝐂𝐻𝐺𝐸, Osaka, has even been observed making use of a tool to manipulate his environment. The bear used a tree branch on multiple occasions. You have that word branch. ആ ബ്രാഞ്ചിനെ എന്തായിട്ട് ഉപയോഗിച്ചു എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. To dislodge a piece of meat hung out of his reach. So കണക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ടോ? You have to relate both these. Now ഈ ടെനോജീസൂവിൽ ഈ ബ്രാഞ്ചിനെ എന്തായിട്ട് ഉപയോഗിച്ചു? He used it as a tool to manipulate his environment. And so we can arrive at that answer. In 𝐂𝐻𝐺𝐸, a bear has been seen using a branch as a tool. And what did he knock down? This allowed him to knock down some, let's go back to the passage, to dislodge a piece of meat. Now there are people who write piece of meat. Remember, you have to write only one word. Piece എന്നുള്ളത് കറക്റ്റ് ആവില്ല. Meat is your answer. Dislodge എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ knock down. So you have your answer there. Next one. A wild polar bear worked out a method of reaching a platform where a dash was located. Understand the meaning. The bear worked out a method to reach a platform where something or someone was located. Let's go back and read that. A calculated move by a male bear involved running and jumping onto barrels. അതാണ് മെത്തേഡ് എന്നവർ ഒറ്റ വേർഡിൽ പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നത്. In an attempt to get to a photographer standing on a platform 4 meters high. So പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിൽ ആരായിരുന്നു അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്തായിരുന്നു? It was a photographer. So now go back and write the answer, photographer. A wild polar bear worked out a method of reaching a platform where a photographer was located. Now doesn't it seem easy now? ഓരോ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ്റെ ആൻസർ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് അടുത്തതിലേക്ക് you are arriving, and if you are able to relate the questions to the sentences in the passage, it becomes very easy. Polar bears have displayed behavior such as conscious manipulation of objects and activities similar to a dash. Read it again slowly. Polar bears have displayed behavior such as conscious manipulation of objects. അതൊരു ബിഹേവിയർ പറഞ്ഞു. Next behavior, and activity similar to a something. So one behavior is conscious manipulation of objects. Next behavior is activity similar to a something. Now let's go and see that. Okay. Polar bears showed deliberate and focused manipulation. അത് നമ്മൾ വായിച്ചു. For example, Ames observed bears putting objects in piles and then knocking them over in what appeared to be a game. Something that appeared, something similar to a game. So what is your answer? Your answer would be game. Now the reason why I marked, highlighted this part, appeared എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഞാൻ റൗണ്ട് ചെയ്ത് വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ആ appeared എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സിമിലർ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അവർ ഒരേ മീനിങ്ങിലാണ് എടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. If you are able to connect that, easily you will get the answer. Polar bears have displayed behavior such as conscious manipulation of objects and activity similar to a game. Next one. Next, they are talking about emotions. Bears may also display emotions. For example, so a passage il nammal emotionsine kurichu iduvare bears inde emotionsine kurichu iduvare vaaichilla. Now we have to go back there and see that part. What is the question here? They may make movements suggesting something if disappointed when hunting. Okay, they may form, that is the next line. Let's not read that. They may make movements suggesting something. എന്തോ ഒരു കാര്യത്തിനെ സജസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന മൂവ്മെൻറ്റ്സ് അവർ ചെയ്യും. ഇഫ് ഡിസപ്പോയിൻറ്റഡ് വെൻ ഹണ്ടിങ്ങിൽ ഡിസപ്പോയിൻറ്റഡ് ആയാൽ. ലെറ്റ്സ് ഗോ ബാക്ക്. Now, as for emotions, so you now see the word there, emotions. അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ താഴോട്ടാണ് ഇനിയത്തെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ്റെ ആൻസർ വരിക. As for emotions, while the evidence is once again anecdotal, many bears have been seen to hit out at ice and snow. What is the movement the bears are making? Hit out at ice and snow. And what is it for? Seemingly out of frustration. So what is the emotion that the bear is displaying there? It is frustration. So they may make movements suggesting frustration if disappointed when hunting. And we come to the end of 13 questions. Now here one thing is that, like in the beginning I said, you can approach reading by two methods. One is to have a quick read before you start attempting to answer the questions. The next is to just go read the questions. First read the title, then go read the questions, come back, start reading from the beginning, and when you get the first answer, you write it down, go to the next question, find the answer in the passage. That is the method by which I go. I prefer that method, but you can choose your own method by trial and error. Alright, and also one thing which is very important in reading is time management. Now we have a tendency, or students have a tendency, that if they don't find the answer to one question, what they do is they try to find the answer for a long time for that one question. But what will happen is that you are losing out on the time you can find the answers for the other questions. So that is not appropriate, because നമ്മൾ അങ്ങനെയാണ് നമുക്ക് ടൈം നഷ്ടമാവുന്നത്. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വൺ കോൺസ്റ്റൻറ്റ് കംപ്ലെയിൻറ്റ് വിച്ച് വി ഹിയർ. സമയം കിട്ടാറില്ല, തീർക്കാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല. ഇതാണ്, that is what we hear. Okay, so time management is essential. If you're not able to find the answer for one passage, then you just stop and move on to the next question. Find the answer to that, move on to the next one, and that's how you should be doing this. All right, so we come to the end of this live session. I hope you understood what I was trying to teach, and I'll meet you next week. Thank you.